Welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Michael Sheen. In the news this week, at the Great British Bake Off end-of-series party, there's a rare chance to really let her hair down for Mary Berry. At an assessment centre in Carlisle, there's evidence that the controversial Atos fit-to-work tests are becoming even harsher. And filming begins on a new series of Miranda, set 200 years in the future. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian and Leeds fan who presents a radio show that mixes football and comedy in much the same way that Leeds United do. Please welcome John Richardson. And with Paul tonight is the leader of the Scottish Conservative Party, whose hobbies include hiking in the Scottish Highlands. In fact, she's never happier than when she's walking 500 miles, then walking 500 more. Please welcome Ruth Davidson, MSP. And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Paul and Ruth, take a look at this.
Yes, this is the President of China who's come to visit. There he is there. Seen all the sights of London, meeting of the minds. And some of the protesters, which he probably couldn't see, and come behind this door and we'll have to startle a little woman. Oh. There she is. It's a tradition where all the heads of state come along and startle this little woman every year. So, yes, President Xi, is it, I think? Or 11, if you're talking about Roman numerals. Essentially, it's putting on a big show. You know, in China, it's been reported as, you know, our president's been met by every member of the royal family. He's been greeted like, you know, one of the great world leaders that he is. And the exchange presents. The Queen gave him a leather-bound edition of Shakespeare, a book presumably rather than the actual playwright. And she was given 2 CDs of his wife singing folk songs. So expect in a car boot sale in the Windsor area. In the next 5 or 6 weeks, look out for those CDs, because they'll be there.
Yes, this is the first Chinese state visit since who?
Oh, when was he president?
Indeed, President who? Hu Jintao.
Right, yes.
Yeah. Now it's Xi's turn.
Yeah. This is going to be a long round, isn't it?
Well, 20,000 people lined the mall to wave and cheer at Xi Jinping. Who were they?
I think 3 of them were Tibetan monks, and 19,997 were members of the Red Army in tracksuits, pretending to be ordinary Chinese people. I can't prove that.
Welcome to another edition of I Can't Prove That.
Did you see where the flags and other pro-Xi Jinping merchandise came from?
Boxes that were handed out round the back door of the Chinese embassy, as far as we could tell.
Here's a report from Newsnight.
The vast majority of people here, thousands, are welcoming President Xi. They seem to be mainly Chinese students in the UK. But we've noticed they're all wearing similar T-shirts, caps, carrying very similar banners. And the thing about a demonstration like this, a spontaneous show of affection, is that you don't really want to leave anything to chance. We found these just metres away from the demonstration. Boxes brought in from China by the Chinese embassy with all the gear.
It's all about image, really, in the end. And the fact that we are allowing the Chinese to run a nuclear power station in our country.
We managed to get China to invest in this nuclear reactor, but we have to guarantee their investment. We have to guarantee the investment to the richest country in the entire world. So if you lose any money, we'll pay. That's not an investment.
No.
It's a bribe.
There's nothing could go wrong there.
No.
I think they're all right. They're already on Pizza Express and they haven't touched dough balls.
The whole exercise was just one long sucking up to the Chinese and not mentioning anything that could embarrass anyone.
They have. They've mentioned it carefully over dinner. If I invited Oscar Pistorius round for dinner this week, I don't think I get much credit for saying, I'll tell you what, I give him a withering look over the port and Stilton, I'll tell you that much.
Well, Scotland came out of it pretty well. Laura Kuenssberg absolutely nailed the Chinese Premier to the wall, and we got £2 billion.
She absolutely nailed him to the wall.
All the questions were devastating. I mean, I don't think a press conference is one question, but what a question she asked. And, yeah, we got a £2 billion bus deal and we got to keep our pandas, so we did all right. Yeah.
Did they come for your pandas?
Well, nobody's taking our pandas. They're not very fertile, but we still love them.
But ineffectively.
Yeah. They don't really love each other.
I don't understand why... Like, we've been showing off how rich we are, but then asking for money. I don't understand... Like, even he knows in China, there's some tact to pretending to be poor. So, like, he gets photographed in, like, a modest restaurant having dumplings. And then he gets here and we're flaunting... Like, he must have gone mad when he met the Queen. He's like, how are we getting for dinner? We're going to walk. We'll get pulled in a gold carriage. Oh, really? What do you want to talk about? You couldn't lend us £3 billion, could you?
The good thing it wasn't a steel carriage.
Yeah.
Bad taste to bring out the collapse of the British steel industry. Partly China's fault, really, for just dumping steel on us. All these new jobs that the Tory party say the Chinese investment's going to produce, I mean, we lost nearly that many this week in the steel industry.
The government haven't done anything. I get the horrible feeling that David Cameron's watched the full Monty. And he doesn't understand that that's not a viable option for everyone. I watched an incredible documentary about the steel industry this week.
How did Jeremy Corbyn express himself on British job losses and human rights to Xi Jinping?
They had a private meeting. And there was a picture of them shaking hands. Have you got the pig? No.
Have I got the pig?
Were you not told about the pig? The lucky pig. We stroke the lucky pig on the fourth show of every series. I'm not going on if we're not stroking the lucky pig.
Thought we were back to Cameron.
Not such a lucky pig.
The pick. Have I seen the pick?
Yeah, have I seen the
Sorry.
pic? Sorry, it's my diction.
I'm so sorry.
When I'm on with the proper actor, it all just goes.
Here they are.
Tell me about this communism. How does it work?
Who's asking who?
Ooh, the camera loves Jeremy. Or at least he thinks it does. He's always staring back at it. Why are these people looking at me? During the Chinese Premier's speech to Parliament, David Cameron and Jeremy Corbyn were sitting next to one another. Can you tell me what they're talking about?
I don't want to be leader. No, nor do I.
Lip reader has been hired, but it depends. You know, sometimes lip readers aren't always entirely accurate. But there's a suggestion that Jeremy Corbyn was talking about somebody's wife being an ex-prostitute.
Somebody's ex-wife being an ex-prostitute.
Somebody's ex-wife being an ex-prostitute. Apparently, Cameron said, "Oh, really? Well, what's the number?" or something. But
Ian Duncan Smith's behind saying she was an ex-prostitute, a working girl. Now, what's she paying tax on?
Or getting credit, probably.
I'll tell you what, that lip reader's incredible, because I'm not picking up any of this.
is that right?
It is absolutely
No,
right.
we don't know who they were talking about, though.
We don't know.
Guess. You know them.
I don't know which ex-wife's ex-prostitute Jeremy Corbyn was talking about.
No, but speculate.
You still have the lawyers that say, as long as I say allegedly, I can say anything I like, right?
Yeah, believe that. Go on.
Yeah, go on. Excellent.
Are we not allowed to see the real footage?
No, because then we'd know who it was.
I think there's gestures in it as well. I think Corbyn's like... Still very good lip readers.
According to the Sun's team
Oh, thank goodness we got the experts.
the Sun's team of forensic lip readers, they were discussing someone's ex-wife with Corbyn saying to Cameron, it was difficult because that's his ex-wife, who is apparently a prostitute. To which David Cameron replied, oh. There were concerns that someone would say the wrong thing about China's human rights record.
Prince Philip. It's always the answer when the question starts with, there was a fear that somebody might say something wrong.
No, it wasn't
Oh, it
Prince
wasn't.
Philip.
Oh, it wasn't
No.
Prince Philip. John Bercow.
The Speaker, John Bercow. He made several veiled references in his welcome address. He said that Parliament had received several prominent visitors from Asia, chief among them, Aung San Suu Kyi, democracy champion and international symbol of the innate right of human freedom. Nudge, nudge. How did President Xi react? Well, according to The Telegraph, he gazed at Mr. Bercow with benign tolerance.
What does benign tolerance look like?
It's what happens when Mrs. Bercow appears.
What's the other terrible thing about President Xi that the Mirror discovered?
Were his trousers too long?
His trousers are touching the carpet.
Did you see the state of his cufflinks?
Steel.
Yeah.
Yes, the Mirror noticed that his trousers were touching the carpet. Way too long.
He's coming.
Is the name of this tailor. So, what were the Buckingham Palace staff forbidden to do while the Chinese delegation was staying there?
Stare at them.
Stare at them. They weren't allowed to poke them with sticks.
They were not allowed to use Wi-Fi in case too much internet activity slowed down the broadband speed for the Chinese. So the Queen must have one of those crappy Virgin Media hubs. Now, Prince Charles managed to avoid the royal banquet and other formal business, but what job did Prince William have?
He had to be your royal loanist to the highest man in China, which is their basketball player. So there's all these pictures of him being looked down on a man that's supposed to be one of the epitomes of Chinese sporting prowess.
It's all about status. But luckily we complied.
He was indeed lecturing the Chinese on the evils of the ivory trade, and he met a very tall man. What is sinister about Yao Ming, for it is he, according to the Mail?
The Mail said that he's not naturally tall, but he was bred in a super-secret Bond villain-esque genetic mutation programme to be somebody that could play basketball and look down on British royals.
Is that right?
According to the Mail, 7-foot-6-inch giant was specially bred to belittle the West and prove that the Chinese aren't all tiny. So this is the Chinese president's lavish state visit to Britain. When it comes to raising the issue of human rights, David Cameron is determined to treat China just the same as he does any other country, as long as it's Saudi Arabia. President Xi gave the Queen several gifts, including a porcelain dish, a 4-foot-long piece of embroidery, a wood carving, and 2 CDs. I'm not saying he panic-bought them at the airport, but David Cameron was given 2 litres of Smirnoff and a giant Toblerone. The meal was served to musical accompaniment from the Countess of Wessex's string orchestra. It was either them or the Duchess of Kent's rhythm and blues explosion. Addressing the sensitive issue of human rights, the Chinese president declared, We combine the universal value of human rights with Chinese reality and have found a path of human rights development suitable to China's conditions. A doctrine put forward by China's leading political philosopher, fuck you. Ian and John, take a look at this.
Pieces of paper.
Oh, the tax credits, don't mention them. And that's some protesters.
Someone who's never been to a funeral before and doesn't know you don't just write the name on the side of a box.
This is the tax credits, they put them through. The idea was that it was unfair to give people who are working tax credits their employers should pay and top it up. Now the bill's gone through, there's no mechanism for making the employers pay, so you're just taking away lots of money from the poorest section of society. And there's been a rebellion by all these sort of lefty Tories, which is the embarrassing thing. Because you'd expect the other side to be against them, but you'd rather hope your own side might be with you.
3 million low-paid families will lose an average of £1,300 per year. But what's Osborne's plan to make everyone feel a bit better about it?
He's going to resign. That figure actually comes from the body, the statistical body they set up to come up with independent figures that everyone could believe. The body comes up with that figure and they go, oh, no, that's rubbish. I've got better figures here on this envelope.
He plans an increase in personal tax allowance and a higher national living wage.
You'd think if the living wage was the panacea that they claim it to be, that they wouldn't reprimand their own cleaning staff when they ask for it. That was a weird reaction, wasn't it?
That was a question time reaction.
Yeah. I might do a joke about a Chinese name in a minute, Michael.
I was disappointed that we missed that Wi-Fi. I thought it was an opportunity.
Did Cameron say he wouldn't cut tax credits before the election?
Yeah, he did. But it's naive to imagine that he was going to stick to it.
Well, let's have a look.
Will you put to bed rumours that you plan to cut child tax credit and restrict child benefits to children?
Well, thank you, Jenny, for that question. No, I don't want to do that. This report that was out today is something I rejected at the time as Prime Minister, and I reject it again today.
Are you saying absolutely as a guarantee?
To me, child benefit. Let's say, first of all, child tax credit, we increased by £450.
And it's not going to fall?
Not going to fall.
It's unclear, isn't it?
People don't really remember, though, what you promised before an election. They don't punish you for it. Because I was speaking to an ice cream driver near me called Nick Clegg.
There was a debate and a vote in the Commons on this week. What happened?
They scraped through. Not much of a majority. 20? You're looking at me as though my maths is rubbish.
I'll deal with this. I'll do maths.
Yeah. John?
22. 23. 17. 21.
180.
Don't worry, I know all the numbers. We'll get there.
A Labour motion calling on the government to rethink the cuts was defeated by 317 to 295. Ruth, you're a Conservative. Are you in favour of these cuts?
Do you know, we've got a lot of people back into work, and we want to make sure that they're not worse off for being in work, and that's what all of this has been about. And yeah, there's a lot of us that are very angry and want to see
So that's a yes.
working.
Do you think George Osborne's going to do a U-turn?
Well, I would like to see some movement by the autumn
What
statement.
movement round?
Well, something else you've said on the record in the past is how important it is to stick to the economic plan.
Let's not undo all of the hard work of the last 5 years. It is the stability that's got our country back on track that's allowed us to grow faster than this over the past 5 years.
How's that been going? One good thing did come out of the debate. 2 of the sexiest new Tory MPs finally got a bit of airtime. Who was that?
Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Heidi Allen is going to be a firm favourite for a long time to come.
Indeed, Heidi Allen.
She looks like a 1980s ballad singer there with the wind machine through the flowing locks.
Has she hired a wind machine for that shot? She must have done.
Just listening to the Chancellor.
And the other one is Johnny Mercer.
He was in the army, wasn't he?
Oh, yes, those are army trousers, aren't they? Camouflage trousers, they'll be quite difficult to see at first.
Was he not in a shower gel advert or something like that?
I believe it was a Dove soap
Was
commercial.
it? Well, there's some speculation about him advertising for an assistant for his parliamentary office because dozens and dozens of women applied, having seen the pictures of him lathering himself up in a shower gel commercial. And his wife stepped in and he had to hire a male assistant, apparently, because she was so worried about it.
That's never caused a problem for the Tories before.
Don't stop any scandal that will.
It's better off this way, love, and then we can share a hotel room as well.
Well, Labour have had their own problems this week. What did we learn about Jeremy Corbyn's political advisor, Andrew Fisher?
He tweets a lot of rather bad-tempered stuff about members of the Labour Party.
Oh, yes.
It's been revealed that last year he described the Labour front bench as the most abject collection of absolute shite. He described Jack Straw as a vile git.
You can see everyone's warming to him.
And Tony Blair as a scumbag for hire. Can anyone do an impersonation of Tony Blair?
No.
Corbyn's ally and former lover, Diane Abbott, is apparently being sidelined. Why is that?
Is it because she's not very good? And she says mad things on the Today programme and then laughs a lot.
According to the Sunday Times, senior Labour Party sources say it's because of her completely fucking mad behaviour. So this is the tax credit cuts, or as the rest of the Tory party call them, George Osborne's tax credit cuts. One Tory MP spoke out and warned that the measures would hit the most vulnerable, leaving them with the choice of eating or heating, which instantly set off an alarm in the ITV game show office. And so, to round two, the strengthometer of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the first one. So this is the news that the Scots...
Hang on. You got carried away with your strengthometer there, didn't you?
I'm so sorry.
We should answer it first before you do.
Yes. Someone buzzed in, didn't they?
Yeah, Ian did.
Right. Shall I just say that it's over to you? Because you buzzed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
OK, let's do this properly.
Yes. Now, this is acting.
Yeah.
Watch me.
Yes, Ian and John.
Yeah, see?
I think John had the answer.
It's Craig Joubert, isn't it, who broke Scottish hearts this week. He made a mistake, and now we're all out of the World Cup. But we have to carry on hosting it like good hosts. I think we should just pack up the stadiums and tell them to have it on their own half of the planet.
That's the most churlish round of applause I've ever.
Yes, this is the news that the Scots clinch defeat from the jaws of victory for the second time in last year.
The South African referee Craig Joubert, who gave a last-minute penalty to Australia, at the end of the game, he sprinted from the centre of the pitch, and people said that was a terribly bad thing. And his pal came out and said he was only running because he really needed the loo. And I tell you what, if I had 40,000 Scots in Twickenham shouting at me, I'd be crapping it as well. So I'm not surprised he went to the loo.
Yes, he ran off after the final whistle, refusing to shake hands with the players and without waiting
Perhaps
for
he was
his
collecting winnings from the betting shop. That's it. Get there before the queue forms.
So, Ruth, everyone makes mistakes. Is all forgiven?
Yes, as long as he never referees for us again.
Well, this is what you tweeted after the game. You are kidding me. Sick. But what a shift from Scotland. Bloody heroes all. Were you a bit tipsy when you sent that tweet?
My partner is Irish, and the Ireland game was on directly before the Scotland game, so we may have been enjoying a convivial atmosphere in Edinburgh's finest wining and dining establishments for 7 hours by the time that tweet was sent. Yes.
And to be fair, you were probably still rat-arsed from when England went out the week before.
Any other tweets you may have regretted? Ruth said of kicker, Greg Laidlaw, I think I love Greg Laidlaw, in a way that we both find uncomfortable. Wow, that would be quite a conversion.
There were a lot of people that tweeted back, especially heterosexual married men, that said they felt the same.
Are we back to nailing people against the wall?
Are you asking?
Should the rest of us just discreetly leave at this point? Oh, is that the time?
We're off.
In other sports news, Slovakian football team TJ Tatra Čierny Balog have to put up with this unexpected sight at matches.
Now, you see, if it was like that, I would go to football.
If there were more steam trains going up and down. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be handy to have at Leeds United, to get the old manager out and the new manager in. Because he's a bloody disgrace! So, finally, how has Greek footballer Leonardo Koutris been given some rough treatment this week?
Was he run over by a steam train while overlapping on the left wing?
Well, let's have a look.
Yeah. The big bloke on the left there in the blue trousers, after he's dropped his goes, it's nothing to do with me.
This is Scotland's heartbreaking exit from the Rugby World Cup. According to the Mail, the South African official, Craig Joubert, was labelled a disgrace after he sprinted down the tunnel. Still, it's not the worst thing a South African sprinter's done. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
Is this the memo that came out this week?
Could be.
It was a memo from Colin Powell to George Bush, which said basically Blair's on side, whatever we do. He'll join us in the war, and he said that will be his position. But this was in 2002. It was a year before they'd even started supposedly talking about it. So people are saying, unbelievably, this proves that Blair was guilty, which was one hell of a shock to me. Because I thought he went in good faith. And amazingly, we've seen this email And the man that we've appointed to look into the Iraq War, Sir John Chilcot, said, oh, I haven't seen that. So that inquiry was worth it. £8 billion, 25 years. I made those figures up, but yeah.
Very much like the Chilcot report, I imagine.
So this is confirmation of Tony Blair's promise to back George Bush's invasion of Iraq. According to Colin Powell's memo, Tony Blair promised to back George Bush a full year before the invasion. This revelation came as bad news for Mr Blair, but even worse for Lord Chilcot, who was just about to press print. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
What the... What is it?
It's a ghostly apparition.
Is it a ghostly apparition?
Is it a ghostly apparition?
Is this Alex Salmond? He believes in ghosts.
Nope.
No.
Oh, right, OK.
Not yet.
Oh, I see. Is that a clue?
A sexy ghost. It's a busty ghost who lives in a museum. It's a new show for CBBC. It's called Spooky Booby Lady.
Yes, this is the discovery of Britain's sexiest ghost, who has left her fingerprints on an Egyptian mummy's coffin in Torquay.
The Egyptian Empire spread a bit, didn't it? Not as far as Torquay.
According to the Mirror,
Yes.
she has yellow locks and shows off her cleavage. And according to the Daily Star, she has huge boobs. Were these fingerprints on the mummy's coffin definitely the sexy ghost?
No, because there are no ghosts.
Well, apparently so. And according to the museum manager, the case had not been opened for 7 years. And the last time it was opened, it took 7 men to open it. So it was impossible for it to be opened by someone else.
Oh, my God. It's the ghost of a woman with 7 men. It's Snow White.
Staying on the subject
Yeah.
of
Yes,
the
let's.
paranormal,
Yeah.
who else recently revealed that they had seen a ghost?
The sexy leader.
Buxom Alex Salmond.
Yes, it was Alex Salmond. He told reporters, I have seen a photo, which I know is not forged or created, that will give anyone serious thought about these things.
The man currently on a train to Devon. Hello there. Would you like to see my SN penis?
So this is the apparition in a Torquay museum that's been dubbed Britain's sexiest ghost. The museum manager claimed the haunted exhibit is Devon's only human mummy. And having seen some of the mums in Plymouth, I think he might be right. Time now for the odd one out round. Your 4 are Michael Flatley, Betty the Chicken, 2/3 of Americans, and Ruth Davidson, MSP.
It's something about Twitter. There was a newspaper story saying 2/3 of Americans are on Twitter or read Twitter or have it in the tap. And you're on it.
There's a chicken shop in Australia that's got a chicken to tweet. I don't know how they do it, but I think her name's Betty.
That means Flatley is the odd one out, because he can't tweet, 'cause he can't use his hands, can he? Is it about Twitter, or am I going completely wrong?
Ruth got the Betty the Chicken bit of it right, but everything else you've got pretty wrong so far.
Michael Flatley's on Twitter, isn't he?
I'll say it again, it's not about Twitter. What would most people usually use on a keyboard?
A mouse.
Antibacterial wipes.
None of them use their hands for the activity they're known for.
They all do things with their feet
Yeah.
that you'd normally do with your hands, apart from Betty the Chicken, who does something you'd normally do with your hands with her beak. Betty the Chicken has been employed by Australian fast food chain Chicken Treat to run their Twitter account using her beak to type.
What do you mean she's been employed?
Well, let's have a look at her in action.
Oh, go on then, let's film of her. Oh, yeah, look, I was wrong. She's got a washing machine as well, look.
She has, in fact, managed to write one 3-letter word.
Egg. No. It would have solved that query, though.
The Mirror writes that the only word she's come up with is bum. So what does Michael Flatley do with his feet, apart from dancing?
That you would normally do with your hands, is that the sort of... There's a woman over here I think knows from personal experience. She hasn't forgotten it.
Does he paint?
Ah, that's a good one.
Yes, it's been revealed this week that Michael Flatley paints pictures with his feet that sell for thousands of pounds. The auction got off to a very slow start, as everyone kept their arms down by their sides. What does Michael hold the world record in?
I mean, I would say the number of tap dances in a second or something like that. It must be related to dance, surely.
It's the most foot taps in a second.
Right, yes.
Can you guess how many foot taps
You can't
can
do more
Flatley
than
do in a second? And he is the lord of the dance.
Yeah. Is that a clue, like 12 Commandments or something?
No,
It is something like 16, something like that. But anyway, that'd be my guess.
It's an astonishing 35 in a single second.
Gosh, and some people can only do 40 phone taps.
Sorry, Steve, I've just lost my mic. So better have an expert come in and fix it.
As soon as I say phone tap, the whole...
I think it's physically impossible to do 30... I mean, with both feet, I guess. It's like PlayStation with your thumbs, isn't it? You can't do that.
Have you got any film of it? No.
No.
So it's just his word, is it?
But we do... According to a recent survey, 2/3 of Americans who use public toilets press the toilet flusher with their feet to avoid germs. Americans spend a lot of time in public toilets, mainly hiding from gunmen. Glasgow MSP Ruth Davidson is an accomplished kickboxer, although the 3 most popular martial arts in Glasgow are judo, jiu-jitsu and "You Spill My Pint, Pal." Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Pro Rata, the magazine of the National Fancy Rat Society. Well. Fancy rat. And we start with children in Bulgaria are what, so they can get time off school?
Racing through puberty.
Children in Bulgaria are buying and selling head lice so they can get time off school. Actually, some of them only got half an hour off school, but it's just nitpicking. Next, I noticed lots of rats, what, at the Finnish Fancy Rat Association show?
I noticed lots of rats dressed as cowboys at the Finnish Fancy Rat Association show.
It's not what I've got on the card.
No.
What I've got is I noticed lots of rats with ears too far apart at the Finnish Fancy Rat Association show. This is from Pro Rata. If you're wondering exactly how far apart a rat's ears should be, it depends on the width of your shovel. Next, adopt a silly walk to what?
Make your cat laugh.
Is it to become the 4th Mrs. Cleese?
It's to burn calories quicker. A new study recommends doing weird things such as adopting a silly walk as the best way to burn calories. According to the research, one way to avoid putting on weight is to walk in a curve, especially if that curve is while you're passing Greggs. Next, what makes a fun game for rats?
Mousetrap.
A handful of frozen peas in some water makes a fun game for rats. Next, Britain is to get its first Cornish pasty museum, but what?
The only reason I can think that but would make sense in that sense is if the museum is not in Cornwall.
Is it? But there are worries that it won't be completely full. Thank you very much.
Britain is to get its first Cornish pasty museum, but Mexico already has one. Surprisingly, pasties are a delicacy in Mexico, having been taken there by Cornish miners in the 19th century. According to The Independent, Malcolm Ball wants to build Planet Pasty in Cornwall. Good news for everyone, apart from the man running Scotch Egg World in Tintagel. Next, thou shalt what, says Bible with a misprint?
Marry thy neighbour's ox. Thou shalt kill. Thou shalt...
Commit adultery.
Thou shalt commit... Oh, yes, go on. Thou shalt commit adultery, yeah.
That is absolutely
Is
right.
it?
Thou shalt commit adultery, says Bible with a misprint. Unfortunately, it fell into the hands of Tom Jones.
Another film in the bank.
It wouldn't be unusual. And finally, Banbury's #1 rat, described by Judge as what?
Undoubtedly the finest rodent that has come before my judging expertise in the 15 years that I've devoted to the ratted world since my wife left me for my best friend Brian, who I still miss.
Absolutely extraordinary. You got it.
No, I haven't.
No. It's actually
Yeah, go on.
Banbury's #1 rat, described by Judge as a chilled-out boy who has a good sniff. He sat on the judge's shoulder and was very interested in what's going on. He licks the judge. Very nice boy, a little charmer.
And is that the case for the defendants?
So, the final scores are... Paul and Ruth have 5 points, but Ian and John have 7 points. But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Contact lens wearers convention upset by windy day.
Cabinet assume position to welcome Chinese friends.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and John Richardson, Paul Merton and Ruth Davidson. And I leave you with news that after the 3rd death in 4 days, there are suspicions that the organisers of the World Archery Championships may have ordered the wrong umbrellas. One renowned practical joker waits expectantly for his victim to discover where he's hidden the frog. And as she leaves a works do in Brighton, one woman is completely unaware that she's being eyed up by a male colleague. Good night.